Hey guys, welcome to week 6. We're covering two different sections this week, both related to trig functions though. The first one is just using trig identities to rewrite the integrand. And for that, I'm going to post a list of trig identities that I expect you to know. Those will come up throughout the semester, and just from doing the homework, you'll probably become familiar with them. But there's a kind of a core 6 that I would expect you to know, and I'll post those on this week's website page, week 6 page, just so you know what you're expected to have memorized. And as always, you should know the common values of the trig functions and how they relate to each other, and their definitions, of course. And then the second section is on trig substitution. So there we're going to be replacing our variable with a trig function. So these are integrals that don't have a trig function in them to start with, but we're going to introduce one so we can take advantage of the identities. A couple of things about that. Actually, one big thing about that is a lot of people are rusty on their polynomial long division. So one of my videos reviews polynomial long division, but I'll also later today post a link on the week 6 page to an online textbook, an online algebra book that'll go through that in case you're rusty and need some practice on long division. I think that's it for the new material. I apologize that the page wasn't completely up to date as of this morning, but by the end of the day it will be. The quizzes, yeah. So the big thing that's not up there now is the quizzes for this week. I'll have those up there though. Also, the test, I posted the solutions to D2L, so you should see your score in there. I also posted all of the exams into everybody's Google Drive folders, so you should see your graded test in there as well. What I ended up doing was taking it out of 120 instead of 160 points, essentially thinking of those two concept questions as extra credit. I got the impression people didn't take me seriously when I said that those discussion questions would be on the exam. So be reading those conceptual questions. Even if you don't participate, read people's responses, read my responses to their responses, and look at those discussions as an actual discussion. So you may not understand what somebody posted. Feel free to reply to their post and say, I didn't know what you meant when you were talking about the extreme value theorem. What did you mean there? And either that person will reply, someone else will, or I will. But I'll make sure that we've covered the ground by the end of the week so that when you review through people's responses, you'll have a good idea of what that particular question is getting at. So make sure you're reading those, asking questions as they come up, and then just make sure you understand and are clear on the concept before we move on to the next week. A couple of just specific things about material from the test. Not knowing the equation of a circle hurt a lot of people, so you might want to go back to an algebra book and review conic sections, specifically circles. But we'll also be looking at ellipses and hyperbolas this semester, so it's a good idea to just review the conic sections in general. And then diagrams, drawing pictures, I think, especially for those applications, volumes of revolution, surface area, it is very helpful to draw a picture. And I saw very few pictures, very few coordinate systems labeled. Once you draw a picture, you don't have to remember any formulas because basically it's all either the area of a rectangle or the area of a circle. That's all you need to know because it's a slice in one sort or another. Another thing people should go back and look at is how do you decide washers or cross-sectional slices versus cylinders? And it has to do with the variables involved. So go back and look at that, make sure you're clear. If you're not, let me know. And then for the future, just make sure you're working all the homework problems. When it comes time to do the quiz, I would take a first pass at that quiz as if it was a test question. Give myself 5 minutes, no notes, try and work it. That'll give you a good sense of how well prepared you are to then move on to the next material. Obviously, for the thing you turn in, since you do have access to notes and everything, make sure the thing you turn in is perfect. But the first time through it, I would take it as if it was a test with no assistance at all. I think that'll help you get ready for the test. And then be working on your strategy guide, those integration techniques as they come up. I would also be making note cards, maybe put one integral on each one, take a few from each section as we go through. And then when it comes time for the next test, you'll have a stack of note cards that you can flip through to practice your integration techniques. That would be helpful. But across the board, the tests were low. I'll send out the stats here later today. And remember, your lowest test gets replaced by the final exam, so it's not the end of the world, but we do need to do much better on the next test. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll just talk to you later.